You guys, it really is hoodie weather today. I am freezing. If you guys want to get your own, you can use code James at checkout. Hello everyone, it's Belle. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hello. And if you've come back, thank you so much. Today it is time for a full in-depth bookshelf tour. Just to let you guys know, if you didn't see my previous video going through every single book on my physical TBR, today's video obviously is going to be a full in-depth bookshelf tour of the books that I have already read. If you do want to go and see every single book that's on my physical TBR, I'll link the video in the description box. But yes, today is going to be me basically going through shelf by shelf, row by row, book by book, showing you guys every single book that I have in my collection because I know that you guys love seeing these videos so much, hence why I've got the microphone out because I'm going to be walking around up and down changing levels throughout the whole video, so enjoy the microphone. I'm going to stop yapping because I cannot wait to show you guys everything that is on my shelves. I'm very proud of my collection. We're going to go through both of these ginormous bookshelves here. Obviously the one down the end was the TBR shelf. We've got romance, we've got romantasy, we've got thrillers, we've got YA, we've got a little bit of everything. So without further ado, you guys know the drill. Let's get comfy, let's get cozy, and let's get right on into this bookshelf tour. Okay, so I'm trying this angle. If it doesn't work, I do apologize in advance. So because obviously I'm very short, I had to put you guys up on my bed, and I guess maybe we should just go literally like row by row rather than by shelves. If you guys are new and you haven't seen my shelves before, my like already read shelves, I separate by like romance, and then over here is like fantasy, romantasy, YA, stuff like that. So I was going to take you guys through like, I guess, different genre by genre, but I think just to make it easier, we might do like row by row. I think that could be fun. So first things first, we have this top row. This is full of your classic rom-com authors, okay? So we've got a bit of Ali Hazelwood up here. We got Lauren Asher. We've got Anna Huang. We have just a lot of different things. So first of all, I guess I'm going to show you guys two Ali Hazelwood arcs that I have, and I was very kindly sent over the last couple of years. So first up is Deep End. This is Ali's, actually it's not her most recent release because it's now Problematic Summer Romance, which I have still not read. This is Ali's most recent release before her release. Anyways, whatever. This is obviously a romance between a swimmer and a diver, which I did learn the difference of after reading this book. This edition is so beautiful. I was so very kindly sent this, but I do like that inside this copy, there's a sticker that says warning gets wet, because if you know the lore, this book was originally supposed to be titled Wet, W-H-E-T. So, okay, so that's the first one. Then I have Not in Love, which I did not like this. I'm really sorry. I think there was like no emotional connection, so I didn't like this, but this might be one of the prettiest books that I own. I really loved this. I thought it was so gorgeous in color and like the gold foiling and what have you, but I just wasn't a fan. And as a ride or die Ali Hazelwood stan, I was very disappointed about this book. I'm very sorry. Moving further down the shelf. Oh, that's not my microphone. I went to talk into these books and not into my microphone. Moving further down the shelf, we start to get into some Lauren Asher. So of course, I've got the Dreamland Billionaires, The Fine Print, Terms and Conditions, and Final Offer. Terms and Conditions was my favorite book in the series. It's also one of my favorite books just in general. And of course, I have Love Redesigned and Love Unwritten, which is the Lakefront Billionaires. I'm actually kind of excited for the third one that's coming out. I actually believe it's coming out next month now. Now you guys see this thing right here that's holding up, no, that's Love on the Brain. This is like a little makeup palette organizer, which I use to stack my books so that they can, I guess, fit more on the shelves, especially if they are standalones and what have you. Oh, this is the end. So I'm not doing that again because I just dropped them all on the floor. Okay, so I've got them all back. This is like a bit of a miscellaneous stacker, as I was sort of saying. So going from, it will be your right to left, I have Love on the Brain, The Love Hypothesis, Checkered Mate, and Love Theoretically, of course, all by the Queen, Ali Hazelwood. I then randomly have One True Loves by Taylor Jenkins Reid in here. I don't know why it's up here. It's one of my favorite books. I really liked that book. I then have Daydream, which was not one of my favorite books. It just doesn't fit with the rest of the Maple Hill series, which I have on display on another shelf. So I guess I just threw it in there. And then I have the indie version of Throttled by Lauren Asher, which I have still not read yet. And I obviously can no longer buy the rest of the indie versions, so I'm just going to have a lone version of Throttled. I know I like joked about this in the intro, but if you guys do want to go get your own Oodie, I actually do have a discount code with Oodie if you want some dollars off your purchase. So I'll leave it on the screen. I totally forgot. I made that joke and then I was like, oh, I actually have a code. So feel free. I do love them a lot. Next up, we move into the Anna Huang Shrine. Okay, so we do have the entire Kings of Sin series right up here. here. So we have King of Wrath, King of Pride, King of Greed. Let me see how good I am. King of Sloth and King of Envy. I have yet to read King of Envy. I feel like it's going to be my favorite. It's going to have that trope, like the don't marry him trope. So I feel like it's going to be good. Finally, for this shelf here, I have the last couple of Anna Huang romances that I've read. The If Love series, her first series, is on my TBR shelf over there. So obviously I've got the Twisted series. So Twisted Love, Games, Hate, and Lies. And then I also have The Striker, which was her sports romance debut. This might be an unpopular opinion, but I actually loved The Striker. I thought it was really fun and I read it super fast. I don't know if it's because it came at a time that I was just genuinely needing something fun and lighthearted, and Anna Huang usually always delivers that. Okay, up next is going to be the start of my romantasy shelf. Guys, the way that my shelves are positioned, I am really sorry. You are going to struggle to see a lot of these books, but this top shelf here is actually my Cassandra Clare like shrine, okay? So Cassandra Clare was one of the very first authors that I read when I was actually getting into reading as a teenager. So like, you know, at the time we were all reading The Hunger Games and Divergent and all those things. I feel like to me, the biggest series that like consumed my life was the like Shadowhunters Chronicles. If you guys haven't heard of this universe before, it does follow a half human, half angel hybrid called Shadowhunters who rid the world of demons. So anyways, you're going to see a lot of different editions and what have you from this shelf. So first up is, I guess, the thing that you should look at when you even start this series. This cute little illustrated history of notable Shadowhunters and Downworlders by Cassandra Clare. So this is actually like almost like an illustrated guide to all of the characters throughout the universe, which I love. And what I love about them is they're almost done in like this tarot card format. Like they have illustrations of the characters and then they also have like a little flower or like plant that represents who they are. So you can go through the entire universe. I then randomly have this very beautiful edition of City of Glass. Now this is the third book in the Mortal Instruments series. So the Mortal Instruments series takes place in Brooklyn in 2007 or 8, I believe. It follows Clary Frey. I don't know if it's like the 10th anniversary edition of it or what it is, but it just says collector's edition. So whatever that means is whatever that means. Next up is a little book called the Shadowhunters Codex. Now, this is referenced throughout, I guess, all of the series. It's sort of like the rule book as to like what Shadowhunters have to abide by. It's all their lore and what have you. But what I thought was really clever about this is when Cassandra Clare actually put this out, she actually has 3 of the characters from the Mortal Instruments series, like the main series, as if they've gone through and almost annotated this book. Maybe that's a better page to show you. You might be able to see a few different handwritings. So that was really fun. It's almost as if they were going through and studying it and making little notes. Next up, I have the Infernal Devices trilogy, which is, I guess if you were to read this universe in chronological order, it would be the series that you start off with because I believe it's set in the 1700s in England. So I have Clockwork Angel, Clockwork Prince, and Clockwork Princess. This is like a love triangle, but almost a love triangle that you genuinely wouldn't mind who she ended up with because you end up falling in love with both of the men so much. Up next is the main Mortal Instruments series, like I was saying. So this follows Clary Frey, who is a human, and she basically gets like thrust into the world of the Shadowhunters at a nightclub on her 16th birthday. She should not be at a nightclub at her 16th birthday. But this story is probably the most, I guess, like found family ensemble casting of the whole series. It's definitely my favorite, maybe. Let me see if I can do this without looking at it. City of Bones, City of Ashes, City of Glass, City of Fallen Angels, City of Fallen Angels, City of Lost Souls, and City of Heavenly Fire. It's a big series, but it's really, really worth it. I will quickly show you guys a special edition of City of Bones that's sitting at the bottom. So this one I know is a special edition of City of Bones. It's a 10th anniversary edition. This one definitely is. And on the back it says all the stories are true. And then inside you have some art of Clary and Jace. Up next I have a trilogy that comes between the Infernal Devices and the Mortal Instruments, and this is called The Last Hours. So in this series you have Chain of Gold, Chain of Iron, and Chain of Thorns. They have probably the most beautiful covers in this series. Now before we move on from this shelf, there is above my bookshelves even more books from this series. Like I said, this universe spans like 5 different series. The last little special edition I have here is of the Red Scrolls of Magic, which is a smaller series that follows 2 of my favorite characters from this universe, Alec Lightwood and Magnus Bane. Alec is a Shadowhunter and Magnus is an Immortal Immortal Warlock. So yeah, they're two of my favorite characters of all time, but I was so excited when she did decide to write some books about them. And this is just a very beautiful special edition of that first book in that series. So that's the first shelf. Up next, I have my Small Town Yeehaw Good Time bookshelf. Here you've got authors like Lila Sage, Elsie Silver, Paisley Hope, Devney Perry, just the small town girlies who I love a lot. I'll quickly show you before I have to move them out of the way. I do have a cowboy pickle on here. He's an emotional support pickle. It says, "I will always be around you to let you know that you are a big deal." So going from left to right, we've got another stacker. So I'm scared to pull it out. I really am. So here, as I was saying, we have Lila Sage's Rebel Blue Ranch series. And I also have some books by Devney Perry and also Melanie Harlow, who I believe is such an underrated small town romance author. So let me show you guys again what the books are. First up is Crossroads, which is the first book in her Haven River Ranch series. Yes, gosh, I'm good. This was like childhood friends to lovers second chance. So I really liked that. Then I have two books from Melanie Harlow's Cloverleaf Farms series, but I think this is the second generation. So I have Ignite and Taste. Ignite is a like girl next door and he's like a single dad firefighter. And then Taste is childhood friends to lovers, forced proximity, accidental pregnancy. They are such good, like fast-paced small town romance books. I really do want to continue this series. I just have to get them. I don't know. I think they're on Kindle Unlimited as well. Before I show you the whole Rebel Blue Ranch series, I did get a signed copy of Wild and Wrangled. It just happened to be in my store. I think this is only a book plate though. Yeah, so there is a signed book plate of Wild and Wrangled by Lila Sage, which is the fourth and final book in this Rebel Blue Ranch series. I have the indie version of Done and Dusted. That's how long ago I bought this book before it was traditionally published. I didn't love this book. Like looking back on it, this book is probably a 3-star book, but it was okay. Swift and Saddled, which is my personal favorite in this series. I just loved the like reverse Grumpy Sunshine dynamic of this one. So I really do think that this was still the strongest in the series. And then Lost and Lassoed, which is book 3. I know I showed you book 4 first, but Wild and Wrangled is obviously after this, but this one was Single Dad and The Nanny, but it didn't live up to the hype or like the expectations. So yeah, that's that. Up next, I have Elsie Silver's Rose Hill series. So you have Wild Love, Wild Eyes, and Wild Side. Hot take on this series. I think that Wild Eyes is one of the best books she has ever written. It stands out amongst these 3. Wild Love was okay. Wild Side was not her strongest work. I'm really sorry about it. I'm also so surprised that this series over the Chestnut Springs series has been optioned for TV when I think that overall the Chestnut Springs series has been so much stronger. Up next, I've got some editions of the Chestnut Springs series. These are just the standard UK paperbacks. So we have Flawless, Heartless, Powerless, Reckless, and Hopeless. You guys know that Heartless, book 2, is my favorite book in the series and one of my favorite books of all time. If you guys haven't heard of these are small town cowboy romance series. Then I've somehow been able to track down 3 of the mirror covers, which if you guys know, you know. These got discontinued, obviously, when, you know, Elsie became traditionally published. So I do only have, and if you guys know where I can get Flawless and Reckless, please let me know. I have Heartless, which has the guitar on the front, of course. I have Powerless, which is book 3 with the little ballerina on the front. And I have Hopeless, which has the engagement ring on the front, which obviously is a, you know, fake engagement. Sorry guys, I had to get out of that hoodie because the sun's starting to come out and now it's really hot. So yes, we got the Glinda shirt back on. A lot of you guys asked me where I got the Glinda shirt from. I got it from JJ's, but guys, I got it like last year when Wicked was obviously coming out. So it's been a while since they probably would have stocked it. You can have a look for it, but I don't know if they would still have it. Maybe they'll bring it back for part 2. Who knows? Up next, we're getting into some really fun and exciting books because I have some books by Paisley Hope, who is one of my new favorite small town like cowboy romance authors. I read her first book, Holding the Reins, last year and I absolutely loved it, and obviously got on the internet and yapped and yapped and yapped and yapped about it, and we now have a very lovely friendship, and she lives all the way on the other side of the world from me. So I think it was earlier this year, I got a very lovely surprise bit of book mail from her, and it was super generous, and she actually sent me the first 2 books in the series, Holding the Reins and Training the Heart, in the US covers. I will show you guys the UK traditionally, you know, published covers in a second, but she sent me both of these covers, which I do think are absolutely stunning, and I think I prefer them over the UK like versions of the books. But what I loved about this beautiful box is every single book that Paisley sent through, she signed. signed. So as I said, all of these books are signed and she is just so lovely to have done that for me. So the first one is A Small Town Brother's Best Friend. The second one, Training the Heart, is a grumpy sunshine. She's his new horse trainer and he's like the eldest brother, forced proximity type of vibe. And then as I was saying, I've got all three of the books that are currently published in the UK paperbacks. So I have Holding the Reins, Training the Heart, and in that little box that Paisley sent me, she did send me an arc of Riding the High before it came out in May, I think it was. Yeah, and I was so excited to read this one because it is single dad, he's a sheriff, and it's the nanny vibe. You guys know I'm just a sucker for it, and it was two characters that I was so excited for, and it just, honestly, it paid off. It was so good. And of course, she very kindly signed this one for me as well. So definitely some of my most prized possessions. I just love her writing so much, and I cannot wait for the next book in this series. Comes out very soon, I think. Up next, I have two books by Morgan Elizabeth. The first one is one of my favorites of all time. It's Passenger Princess, which I think I talk about nonstop. I yap about it till the cows come home. This is the romance between a beauty pageant queen and her bodyguard as they sort of embark on a 3-month victory tour around the United States. It reads like a Barbie film, so keep that in mind. But obviously, like, more adult and very spicy. And then I also have very kindly a beautiful copy of Tourist Trap, which Morgan's team did send to me earlier this year. This is a summer romance between a lifeguard and her ex-boyfriend's brother. Definitely gives summer vibes. I didn't love this book, but I still think it's fun, especially if you're looking for something to read during summer. As I said, this one was sent to me, so it is also signed, and it does have a really cute step back in here or something, or overlay. The only thing is that her butt is out, but there's an overlay in here as well. So that was very kind of them to send that to me. And then finally on this shelf, I do have some sort of like small town standalones, or I have like just a random spot. I honestly don't know where I was going to put this series. I've got the Kiss Quotient trilogy by Helen Huang. So I have the Kiss Quotient, the Bride Test, and the Heart Principle. Highly recommend these books, you guys. They are so good, especially the Bride Test. Nobody talks about this book. And the final two books on this shelf are You Deserve Each Other by Sarah Hogle and Archer's Voice by Mia Sheridan. So those are also some really lovely small town romance books. Okay, so as I said, moving down the tiniest bit, I have my sports romance shelf / like there's a little miscellaneous section over here. So you guys might see in the corner, I obviously have my Boys of Toman set minus Releasing 10, which is over on my TBR for this month. I started reading these books this year only, so I do have just the trade UK standard paperback covers. I don't even want to call it a sports romance series. The only reason it's here is because it does follow young people who play sports. So it is set in Ireland around the high school kids. You know, some of them do play rugby, but I cannot stress this enough that this series is so much more than that. I do actually think I class this more as an emotional romance series. There are very heavy and triggering topics within this series that definitely outweigh the sports romance element. So just please keep that in mind. I mean, look, obviously the books are named after the jerseys of each of the boys that it's revolving around. So that's why you've got like the 13 and the 6 and the 7. I always wondered what that was about when I first saw the series floating around. So if you didn't know, that's what the numbers correlate to, is the jersey numbers. Anyways, moving along, I guess I will show you guys quickly again my two books that I tolerate, the only two books that I tolerate in the Maple Hill series, which is Icebreaker and Wildfire by Hannah Grace. This is a sports college romance series, so it's mainly around ice hockey. So the first one, of course, is probably the most popular book on the internet. It's Icebreaker. My personal favorite in this series is Wildfire. If you want a book that feels like literally watching Camp Rock but without the music, it's this book. It felt like going back to summer camp and being a kid again. This is about two camp counselors who work at the same summer camp over the summer break after they have an awkward ending to their one-night stand. I will also show you guys my two special editions of these books because I just had to have them. So the first one is obviously Icebreaker. It has little crabs on there. So if you know the story, you will know the relevance to the crabs. It's got this beautiful pink foiling, baby pink foiling. And then the Wildfire one might be my favorite. This one is Wildfire, which is again book 2. And then this has like some burnt orange sprayed edges. I am going a tiny bit out of order because obviously like that stack that had the pretty editions on it, there's some books underneath. So I'll quickly show you guys these ones. I have 2 editions and I did not need the second one, but I had to buy it because I am incredibly impulsive. I have 2 editions of Collide by Bal Cabra. I actually prefer this to Icebreaker. I always say that it's like Icebreaker's hotter older sister. So that's the standard edition there, but I wanted to get a second version of it because the sprayed edges actually say their name. And I do believe this second book in this series, obviously it's out now, there is a version of it with, I think their name, one of them's Sage and I can't remember the other. I haven't read it yet. So obviously I have not gone and bought the special edition of the second one. everyone. Okay, now it's time for not only my favorite sports romance series of all time, but my favorite contemporary romance series of all time. And that is the Windy City series by Liz Tomforty. Genuinely, if you have not heard me talk about this series enough, where have you been? What's going on? This is an interconnected sports romance series. You are following ice hockey players, basketball players, baseball players. Each book pretty much has like a different story and a different sport that you are following, but I've never found a bigger like sense and feeling of found family ever before other than reading this series. This is the only series I've ever read, and like when I finished it, I wanted to go back and start it all over again from the beginning, like the minute that I finished it. I did also, I don't know how well you guys can see this, but I have made little bows, like ribbons, to go in the top of each of the books, because I just love them so much. Finally, I've got another little stacker because I really haven't read that much sports romance that I've really loved. So this was just another little miscellaneous stacker that has a bunch of standalone books in it. So at the back, I think I have The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I've got The Fault in Our Stars by John Green, Thousand Boy Kisses by Tilly Cole. We've got Morbidly Yours by Ivy Fairbanks. We've got 2 books by Hannah Bonham Young, Out on a Limb and Next of Kin. Next of Kin is so good, by the way. Highly recommend. And then I have The 7 Year Slip by Ashley Poston and First Time Caller by BK Borison. I am very much also running out of room, so thrown on the top of that stack is The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. If you've not read Rebecca Yarros's romance books yet, please try this one first because it's so good. Okie dokes, we are now moving across to this lovely shelf here, which I didn't get to show you guys, but on this shelf here we have some Rebecca Yarros, we have some Lauren Roberts, we have some Penn Cole. First up, I've got this book that I read only this year. It's called A Deal with the Elf King by Elise Cova. This is a Beauty and the Beast inspired retelling, but with fae, and I loved it. Then I do have the Imperium series by Rebecca Yarros. So of course, Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. And then I do also have the original Sprayed Edges Fourth Wing. I think when that came out in 2022, or I can't remember when that came out. And then I also have an edition of Onyx Storm with the Sprayed Edges too. I did not buy Iron Flame in the Sprayed edition because I didn't love Iron Flame, but I did love the rest. But these two are so pretty. I don't think they have anything special under the dust jackets. I think it's just the sprayed edges, which are beautiful. Up next, we have the Powerless trilogy by Lauren Roberts. I don't even know if we're going to call it a trilogy anymore, considering that quite literally she keeps expanding the world like every 5 minutes. So that's fine. I'm really not complaining. The first one, obviously Powerless. The reason I'm showing you guys this version is this one is signed. Lauren Roberts actually just recently came to Australia and I got a lovely signed edition of it. So that was really nice to go and watch her speak as well. These are some of my favorite books that I own. I then have the standard hardbacks of the Powerless trilogy, but these all come with reversible dust jackets. I am going to show you the art on these. If you do not want spoilers for the art or for the world of this series, I'll put a quick little timestamp on here if you would like to skip. These aren't massive spoilers, but there is character art in here which might allude to some couplings and some scenes that may happen throughout the series. So the Powerless reversible dust jacket has Kai and Peyton on the front, and then it has this beautiful like blue, pink, and orange sky. The Powerful reversible dust jacket has Mac and Adina on the front, and then I think there's just some like sword thing going on the back. The Reckless reversible dust jacket again has Kai and Peyton. If you have read the book, you know what scene this is from. And then there's a little like bunny and a wolf on the back. So that one might be my favorite. I don't own the Fearless one yet because it has not been released in Australia yet. So you best believe as soon as it's out, I will be buying it. Quickly, just to like obviously wrap up Powerless, I do have the Powerful novella, which I bought in the paperback before that came out, and Fearless, which obviously I don't have the hardback of just yet. Now, one of my favorite books in my collection that I own, it just randomly slotted onto the shelf because I didn't have space for it where this series currently sits on my shelf, but I did buy a very beautiful dust jacket off of Etsy, and I know you guys are going to yell at me when I say this because I hate it when people say it too. I have had a few questions from people asking me where I got it from. The last time I went and checked, this store is no longer like doing orders, which is really unfortunate because they have some beautiful dust jackets on there. I bought a dust jacket of A Court of Mist and Fury, which is the second book in the ACOTAR series. So I can't remember how much my camera loves or doesn't love this cover, but it obviously has 2 characters from this series on the back, on the front rather, and then the back has Valaris, which is just absolutely stunning. And finally on this shelf, I have the Kindred's Curse saga by Penn Cole. This is my favorite romantasy series of all time. time. I can't wait for the series to start getting more popular so that I can buy special editions of it because I love it with my entire heart and soul. This series here follows Diem Bellator, who is a human healer who ends up working for the Royal Palace of Descendants, who are magical beings within this realm, and she gets entangled with the prince in a sense. So you have Spark of the Everflame, Glow of the Everflame, which you guys know is my favorite read of this year so far, and Heat of the Everflame. I am crossing all of my fingers and toes that Burn of the Everflame gets released this year. I think all of us who have read this series have been waiting for the conclusion for it. I guess whilst we're here, I'll move on to this next shelf, which has some beautiful special editions. If you guys know me, you'll know that I read The Serpent and the Wings of Night, the Crowns of Nyaxia series last year. I started reading it and I loved those books so much. I do have all of the 3 books that are published so far, but obviously, you guys will know what those ones look like. I'm going to show you guys my special sprayed editions of these books because they are absolutely gorgeous, and they are one of the few special editions that I own that actually have beautiful hardbacks underneath the dust jacket. So let me show you them one by one. So book 1, The Serpent and the Wings of Night, has this absolutely gorgeous serpent down the side. Obviously, because I like to have my sprayed edges facing out, this one's gone a little bit yellow, but let me show you the underneath. It has this beautiful cover, like literally look at that. That is so stunning. And on the back, it says, never trust, never yield, always guard your heart. Book 2 is The Ashes and the Star-Cursed King, which has a sword down the side. Look at how wonky that is. I need to put my dehumidifier on soon because obviously my pages are starting to warp a tiny bit, but the dust, like look at that cover, you guys. It is so gorgeous. I love that these two sort of match. It says, love is the sacrifice at the altar of power. I love that these two match. I have never actually taken them both out at the same time. They're gorgeous. And then The Songbird and the Heart of Stone is the start of a new duet within the series. It follows a different couple. So on the outsides, we have an arrow. This might be my favorite edge of the series so far, in this like sprayed edge, but the inside is absolutely stunning. So this one's more of a brown, maybe like a burnt orange. And the back says, this is the tale of how a chosen one falls. They are absolutely beautiful. What's really funny is the front of this cover low-key gives me like the movie cover for like The Hunger Games and the Ballad. What is that? The Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. It kind of reminds me of that, but they are so gorgeous. Up next is a series that I really don't think I need to pull off the shelf or needs any sort of explanation, but I do obviously have the, ACOTAR series. So that's one of the biggest fantasy series in the world. I really don't need to pull those off because they're just the standard, colorful spines. It's really nothing too fancy. But next to that, I do have one of my new favorite series. I have Assistant to the Villain and Apprentice to the Villain, which is by Hannah Nicole Mehra. Accomplice to the Villain literally comes out on my birthday this year, and I'm so excited. This is my favorite cozy comedic romantasy. I actually saw somebody refer to this as if Once Upon a Time had like a crossover with The Office. That's how these books feel. They are so genius. If you just want something silly, you don't want to take it too seriously, I would 100% read these books. And then Hannah Nicole was also in Australia a couple of months ago, and one of the girls who works at the local bookstore, we are besties, she said, you need to get your butt down and get a signed copy that she had. So I got a signed copy of this as well. So very happy girl. I do also have The Rose Bargain by Sasha Payden Smith, which is like a selection style, like Bridgerton feeling competition to win the prince's hand. Up next, I've got my most recent finished read, and I can't wait to talk to you guys more about this in my reading wrap up, which will be coming very soon. I have Metal Slinger by Rachel Schneider. I finally read this book, and I will tell you guys that I was not disappointed by that plot twist. It really is a plot twist that I understand why, like, it shook the whole internet. Next, I have some books by Stephanie Garber, who is obviously the infamous author of the Caraval trilogy, Once Upon a Broken Heart. So I think we should save the best for last. So I'll quickly just show you my editions of the Once Upon a Broken Heart trilogy. I was very lucky to actually get the reprint of the tall paperbacks, if that makes sense. If you guys live in Australia, you'll know the struggle. They, obviously release in a new release, like in the tall size, and then like after a couple of months, they release the smaller version. So anyways, I got the release because I think I only had A Curse for True Love in the tall size, but I didn't have the other two in the tall size. So these now match. I have not read this series yet, but I have read this series and I'm obsessed with the covers that I have. I have the most beautiful editions of the Caraval trilogy, which I will be showing you one by one because these are some of my most favorite special editions that I have. I actually held off on buying this series because I heard that these were coming out, and I was like, I'm not even going to buy any version of this series unless I can own these editions because they are so stunning. This is obviously the Caraval trilogy plus its little spectacular novella. This is a YA romantasy. It does give like special magical tournament vibes. It's very clever and I actually love it. I know a lot of you love Once Upon a Broken Heart more. I obviously haven't read that yet, but this was just so good. I think about it a lot. So first up is Caraval. Look at the beautiful like colors and the gold foiling on this. Inside they all have these gorgeous red end papers and they all have this special gold foiled little building. Each one is different. I'll quickly show you them. This one is Legendary, which is book 2. That's the inside of book 2. And then Finale, this might be my favorite cover. Like, look how beautiful that is. And then we have a little deck of cards, which does allude to a character from obviously that other series. Finally, for the shelf, I totally forgot to show you them, but I have 2 editions of Our Infinite Fates by Laura Steven. This is a new release of this year. I was actually sent an early copy of this by Penguin. I read it and absolutely loved it. It was just so clever. It's honestly become like one of my favorite reads of the year that I had to buy this special edition because look at those sprayed edges. I've shown this a few times now, but I just loved it. The end pages are beautiful and look at that. It's got a gorgeous quote on it too. That's how you do a special edition. That is how you do it. Up next, we are going through my personal favorite shrine. If you know, you know. We are going to be going through my Bridgerton collection. We know you're obsessed with Bridgerton, Belle. We get it. Before I show you what is on this shelf, I have to show you who is on this shelf. So I was actually very kindly sent a special edition Funko Pop of, I was about to ruin her last name, Miss Penelope Featherington in her little getup. If you know, you know. I'm not going to spoil what this getup is, but this was like a special edition version of her. I think you could only get it like by luck of the draw when you ordered normal Penelope. So I was very happy and very graciously sent this by one of my besties. So thank you, Ruby. Love you lots. And then I also have season 3, Colin and Penelope Bridgerton. Okay. We have Penelope in her lovely little glow up in the green dress. And I also have Colin. If you can't tell by now, they are my favorite couple. Literally go and talk to a wall, okay? Okay, first up, I have all of the mass market editions of the Bridgerton series. I found all of these secondhand, which I think is girl boss thrift shopping to the max, okay? So I've got all 8 books in the series. They all have these beautiful little images on the side, except for the Duke and I. I wasn't able to find the original covers with the step backs, but these are such beautiful collector's items. I just love them very much. Up next are some TV show tie-in covers. So I've got the Queen Charlotte tie-in cover. I have the season 1 tie-in, which is the Duke and I. The season 2 cover, which is the Viscount Who Loved Me. And of course, my personal favorite, the season 3 tie-in for Romancing Mr. Bridgerton. These 4 books that you see right here might be some of my favorite that I own. They are double editions of the series, okay? So they all have like 2 books in one. So because there's 8 books, we have 4 of them. So the first book has Anthony and Daphne's story in it. It's got a green cover with these like hot pink sprayed edges, very wicked vibes. Book 2 is Benedict and Colin's story. So we've got the reverse here with a hot pink and a green spine. Then we have books 5 and 6, which are Eloise and Francesca, which has a blue cover and a lovely yellow spine. And finally, books 7 and 8, which have Gregory and Hyacinth's books. So we've got an orange cover and a neon blue sprayed edge, which I just think they are so beautiful. And then I just have the remainder of the trade paperbacks, which have like the stock image people on them. The Viscount Who Loved Me, which is Anthony's book. I showed you Daphne and Simon's already, which is book 1. An Offer from a Gentleman, which is Benedict's story. Very excited for the upcoming season. Another version of Romancing Mr. Bridgerton, which is Penelope and Colin's story. You know what's such a slay? This is the only book that actually has 2 people's names, because on the bottom they all say like the sibling's name, but this is the only one that says Penelope and Colin's story. I call that a flex. Then we have Eloise's story, which is To Sir Philip with Love, which I truly think is garbage. We have When He Was Wicked, which is Francesca's story. I have It's in His Kiss, which is Hyacinth's story, but I do not have Gregory's yet in this paperback, so I should try and chase that down. I've got it in the like original mass markets, but I don't have Gregory's yet in this size. Up next, yes, I'm aware there's a mirror behind me. Do not come for me, okay? I have my fruity shelf. Okay, I'm very, very, very excited to show you this. This has pretty much all of my Heartstopper books, my Red, White, and Royal Blue Shrine, and any other Alice Oseman. I am not going to pull these off because it's so heavy. We'll start over here. I've got the Heartstopper what? I've got the Heartstopper yearbook, which is a cute little illustrated guide to the series. I have this gorgeous little hardback cover of Nick and Charlie, which is a novella that takes place just before Nick leaves for university. I also have, obviously, all of my graphic novels, which are part of the main series. If you haven't heard of this series before, it did take over my life for many, many, many years. It follows two teenage boys who meet each other and start a beautiful friendship when they are sat next to each other in their form group. I do have both the standard, I guess, paperbacks of these, and then I also have all of the editions of the foiled hardbacks, which are so gorgeous as well. Like I said, I'm not going to pull every single one off because I will be here forever, and I really feel like this video is long enough as is, and I'm definitely running out of time. Next up is my ginormous red, white, and royal blue shrine. Yes, you heard that right. I think out of any book that I have, this is the one that I've collected the most editions of because I love it more than life itself. So I'ma just show you what I have. First up is just the movie tying cover, which does have, you know, some beautiful looking men on the front cover. Up next is two of the original versions of this book. This was the very first edition with a little step back. It has a charm that my best friend made me. This is the OG version of this book, and it still has all of the Harry Potter references in it. I have another version of the one with the Harry Potter references in it. If anything happened to that one, I needed a spare, like I needed a backup. I then have three special editions. So I have the US hardback special edition without the dust jacket, which does say history, huh? Bet we could make some, which is a very famous quote from this book. It also has beautiful art on the end pages. So we've got some in the front and in the back as well. I've got I think this is the Illumicrate special edition of the book too, without the dust jacket, which has Alex and Henry on the front cover. It has this pink confetti sprayed edge going on. We do also have end paper art in that one as well. And finally, the UK special edition, which is pretty similar to the US version in terms of what is inside. The only difference, of course, is the dust jacket and the edges are a bit different too, which is really cool. Some more Alice Oseman are their standalones. Some of these are to do with Heartstopper. So Nick and Charlie and This Winter and Solitaire are all within the Heartstopper universe. They are all sort of interconnected, but we also have Radio Silence, I Was Born for This, and Loveless. I do also have a special edition of Solitaire, which, if you are unaware, actually follows Charlie's older sister Tori, and it was actually written before the Heartstopper graphic novels. It has some beautiful snowy sprayed edges too. And finally, for this shelf, I have two books by F.T. Lukens. I have In Deeper Waters, which is an like Little Mermaid inspired story. And I also have So This Is Ever After. I am really sad. I feel like more books have come out in this like series universe, but they're not being traditionally published in the hardcovers anymore in Australia. So if you guys know where I can find them, please let a girl know. Okay, we really are moving further and further down the ranks as we go. This next shelf, which you guys are going to see here, is my dark romance and thriller shelf. So first up on this side here, we have some standalone dark romance or like taboo books. So first up, I have the Mind F series by St. Abbey. This is one of my favorite dark romance series of all time. I also love this cover because you can no longer get it anymore. I've got the indie version of Birthday Girl by Penelope Douglas, another one of my faves. I've also got the indie Punk 57. I didn't love this book, but I'm just keeping it anyways. Then I have Kiss a Villain by Mia Darling. This was an romance, like mafia romance, and it was childhood friends to lovers. I was so gagged. I just loved this. I saw it in an indie bookstore near me, and I just like knew I had to read it. I've got Lights Out by Nevessa Allen, one of my favorite dark romances from this year, so highly recommend if you want a comedic dark romance. And then another one of my prized possessions is an arc of Bride by Ali Hazelwood. This is one of my favorite Ali Hazelwood books. So that's the cover. It just has this amazing little like claw step back, so I love that. Before I show you my HD Carlton shrine, I do have Pen Pal by JT Geisinger, which I feel like I talk about a lot recently. And I finally have a physical copy of For the Fans by Nyla Kay. You guys will see that a lot of my genres on my like red shelves are a bit all over the shop. I do now need to buy some more shelving so that I can put more of my stuff together. But this one does lean more taboo, hence why it's on this shelf. Now I have all of my HD Carlton books. So the only one that's not part of the same universe is Does It Hurt Hurt, which is about this girl who like steals the identities of the men that she sleeps with. It's so good and also has a really great like mystery thriller element to it. Then I have my cat and mouse universe. So obviously Haunting and Hunting Adeline, I now have the somewhat, I don't know if you'd call them traditionally published, but they're like mass market paperbacks now. I have the 2 indie versions that I bought off of Amazon way long time ago. Got Satan's Affair, which is the prequel novella, and I have Where's Molly, which is the sequel novella. It's in the same universe. I wouldn't call it a sequel. I am missing Phantom, which is one of my favorite books within this universe, so please read the series if you haven't already. Up next is all of Emily McIntyre's Never After series. These are a little bit out of order because some of them I obviously bought in the indie and then they started to get traditionally published and then they were coming out in all different sizes. First up is Hooked, which is a Peter Pan inspired story. Scarred is the second one, which is a Lion King story. We have Wretched, which is The Wizard of Oz. We have Twisted, which is Aladdin. Crossed, which is The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and Hexed, which I think has the most beautiful cover. It's a Little Mermaid inspired story. If you haven't heard of these before, they are twisted reimaginings of our favorite childhood stories where the villain gets the guy or the girl. Next up are some of my favorite thrillers. So We Used to Live Here. I've talked about this book enough. I think you guys know how much I love it. I have That's Not My Name by Megan Lally. I read this in 3.5 hours. I really feel like if you guys are new to thrillers as well, that you will love this. 2 books by Frida McFadden that I've really loved. I've read more, but these are the only ones that I've really loved are The Housemaid and Never Lie. Never Lie is definitely my favorite by her. Home Before Dark by Riley Sager, which is such a great spooky haunted house story. And finally, Hidden Pictures by Jason Rekulak. This is really where we're at. We're really on the floor for these last couple of books. I really do apologize. I'm trying to get low like Lil Jon. Okay, next up is a random shelf that I honestly forget exists sometimes. Genuinely always forget that it exists. So the first couple are some MM books. Again, my MM collection is just all over the shop. I have this beautiful edition of Aristotle and Dante Discovered the Secrets of the Universe. It is one of my favorite YA MM books. It's very beautiful. I then have The Charm Offensive by Alison Cochrane, which is another fave of mine. And I have All That's Left in the World by Eric J. Brown, which I loved. Because I am kind of worried that my camera is gonna die, I'm gonna show you guys my Tessa Bailey stack this way here. So these are my Tessa Baileys that I've actually read. My Killer Vacation, It Happened One Summer, Fix Her Up, The Au Pair Affair, Hook, Line and Sinker, and Love Her or Lose Her. And then these ones here, I did just show you guys in a recent book haul. These are Elsie Silver's Gold Rush Ranch series. My camera's about to die and I think I might have to come back to finish this. We're back. The camera is now charged. It's maybe a couple hours later, but it's okay. Anyways, I was in the middle of showing you guys these Elsie Silver books, which I love. The only reason I bought these is because I think I'm probably going to sell my indie editions because these covers are just so much cuter. I have shown these off a few times now because they are just stunning. Now, these are exclusively to Australia and the UK, I would like to say. They are just some of my most favorite books that I own now. They are very Barbie coded. I've read the first 2.5 books in this series. I do still need to read The Front Runner and A False Start. Next up, you guessed it, is another stacker. I just realized I don't have my microphone. Guys, I didn't bring my microphone back through this part, which is just fine. The next lot of books we have are some miscellaneous romance books of mine. So I've got some Christina Lauren's in here. We've got some Emily Henry. So I have Book Lovers, Beach Read, People We Meet on Vacation. I also have some Colleen Hoover in here. And then I also have this book that I actually love. I got sent it last year. It's called Mortgage of Convenience by Danny McLean. Look at that cover. Isn't it so cute? It's brother's best friend. He's an ex-spicy dancer and it's like the renovation trope. They buy a house together. Super, super, super cool. And then finally for the romances, I just have some standalone bookies. So first up, I have A Love Letter to Whiskey by Candy Steiner. This is the 5th anniversary edition. It's so cute. This does have like bonus chapters in it from another character's perspective. So if you've read the book, actually tell me what you think, if you think you prefer it with or without the bonus material. Of course, The Spanish Love Deception by Elena Ramas, an oldie but a goodie. Say You Swear by Megan Brandy. I then have 2 books by Ella Maisie. I have To Love Jason Thorne and Marriage for One. This is like fake dating and this one is obviously a marriage of convenience. Of course, The Wall of Winnipeg and Me by Mariana Zapata, the queen herself. And of course, some Colleen Hoover. So Verity, truly, I think it's her best book. And then I have It ends and it starts with us because, I mean, look, everyone read them back in the day. I like this edition of It Ends With Us. It's quite pretty. Let's get my microphone back and do the last two shelves. Okie dokie. So, last two shelves here are on my little young adult shelf. I would like to say this is my young adult shelf. I have a lot of nostalgic series in this area. So let me just show you the first set because they are gorgeous. You're going to see I have about 3 sets of this series because it's one of my favorites of all time. I have these beautiful special edition hardbacks of the Hunger Games series, plus the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes. I really do hope that they make a matching hardcover of Sunrise on the Reaping because obviously this was a special edition set. I think they then made them into like paperbacks with sprayed edges, but I really hope they do a hardcover for Sunrise. So let me show you them individually because they are gorgeous. So first up you have the Hunger Games, which funnily enough looks like the bird on Mockingjay. No, it's not. I'm full of it. It looks like the color of Mockingjay, but it's not. And then on the back, it obviously has a little quote from the series as well. You have Catching Fire, which looks like this. It's got the red with like the orange or yellow foiling in it, which is beautiful too. My favorite one in this set, like not my favorite book in the Hunger Games trilogy is Catching Fire, but I mean in this set, I think this one is my most favorite. This is Mockingjay, like this beautiful purple with like the hot pink foiling. And on the back, of course, it has like the very famous, "If we burn, you burn with us." So pretty. And then finally, the Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, which is the prequel novel, which says ambition will fuel him, competition will drive him, but power has its price on the back. So those are so beautiful. I love them very much. I then, of course, have a standard paperback of Sunrise on the Reaping. I then have these black covers of the original trilogy. These are the very first editions of these books that I ever bought. I wonder what year they were released in, but they are like my pride and joy. They are so yellow. They're very beautiful and they are probably like some of my favorite books that I have. Up next are all of my Shatter Me books. I'm obviously not going to show you every single one of these books because we'll be here for 35,000 years. I do have all of the books. They're a bit out of order and the new spin-off novella. I only read this series last year and I'm so surprised at how much I love this given that I am now an adult and I usually don't love young adult, but I really loved this. I do think the series probably could have ended after the 3rd book, but I was still here for the ride and Kenji Kishimoto. Up next, I actually have 2 editions of Quicksilver by Callie Hart. This only came out last year and it's honestly one of my favorites. I don't know why, but my camera does not like this cover with Kingfisher on the top. It really overexposes itself. But I also was very kindly sent an ARC copy of this, or a proof copy by Hachette. And if you guys can see on the bottom there, it actually has my name on it, which is so cute. So they did send that to me before its Australian traditional release. My final set of the Hunger Games that I have that I think I get the most questions about are these beautiful white covers with the different foiled edges. I feel like every time I show you guys these, I get so many questions as to where I got them from. I am so sorry. These are out of print now. I bought them many years ago. I'm talking back in the 2010s, like around that time. So these are very much out of print now. So they are very much a collector's edition. So of course we have the Hunger Games there, which is white with the foiled bird, gold edges, Catching Fire, which is starting to fade. I am really sad. Red edges, and Mockingjay, of course, which has a blue foiled bird and blue edges. Finally, for this shelf, I have my paperback editions of the Letters of Enchantment duology. So I have Divine Rivals and Ruthless Vows. I actually liked this. It was okay. The second book to me was definitely stronger. I feel like if you would like to read a romantasy that definitely is much more heavy on the romance, you will really enjoy this. And last, but certainly not least, I have probably my most nostalgic shelf. This definitely has a lot of my favorite books on it from when I was a kid. So a lot of Percy Jackson, The Selection, These Violent Delights, These Violent Ends, which is a Romeo and Juliet inspired retelling set in Shanghai. So I actually really liked this again. Then I have a little series that I feel like genuinely like Mandela effect, and nobody has read this but me. It's called the Revenant series. So Die for Me, Until I Die. And then I think the third one is called If I Should Die. I cannot find the third book anywhere. And I feel like I'm the only person in the world that has read this series. So if you guys have read this, please let me know. know. Then I have my Kira Cass books, who of course is the author of the Selection series. Now, I read these so long ago as a kid and I used to borrow them from the library. So I only recently bought these, which is so nice. So they're a bit out of order, but I have the Selection, the Elite, the One, which is like the main trilogy. And then the other ones are like some other books by her. I'm not going to pull this stacker out, but these are all of my original Percy Jackson books. The first one I have is the movie tie-in cover. That's how long ago I bought it. The rest are all like somewhat matching. Next to that are all the heroes of Olympus. So The Lost Hero, Son of Neptune, Mark of Athena, House of Hades, and Blood of Olympus. I then have When the Moon Hatched by Sarah A. Parker. I liked this book. I don't know why I'm keeping it on my shelf. I'm keen for the next one though. You know when you're like, I finished a series, but I hate myself. Like, I didn't love it, but I'm gonna like read the next one anyway. That's how I feel about this book. And finally, last three, I've got the Wicked book. Please don't read this book. It's not good. It's okay. If you like Alphabet, it's okay. I have The Song of Achilles by Madeline Miller. And last but certainly not least, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. Alrighty, everyone, that is all for today's video. Thank you so much for sticking through all the way to the end if you did. I really, really appreciate it. I hope you enjoyed this lovely in-depth bookshelf tour. I think I did one maybe at the beginning of this year, but I thought I would take you guys through this time like book by book by book by book, which I hopefully did. I know towards the end there I was rushing, but I really feel like I had almost like 2 hours of footage. As always, if you guys aren't already, you are more than welcome to follow me on my socials. I'll leave my handles on the screen and down in the description box. And if you'd like to, you can like this video and subscribe to my channel, and make sure you are hitting that notification bell. That way you're notified each time a brand new video goes up. It's coming towards the end of the month, you guys, so I'm very excited because the next video on the channel is going to be choosing my August TBR. And I've said it a million times, but guys, it is my birthday next month. You know the TBR choosing video is going to be extra, and I'm so excited to show you guys, which will then be followed up with my July reading wrap up. Thank you guys so much for stopping by again. I really, really appreciate it. Wherever you are in the world, I hope you are having a lovely day or a lovely night, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.